Hey, so I want to talk today about a very personal subject that I never wanted to speak about to anyone, let alone to the whole world publicly. However, my goal with this channel is to be open and honest about conversations that other people don't have. I want people to feel that they're not alone, and to be able to work together through things that we deal with that nobody else wants to deal with and talk about. So, um, it's not an easy topic. I don't even know where to begin, but bear with me. Um, so, when I was younger and later on, when I was older as well, I had some sexual abuse in my life. I honestly thought that I dealt with the traumas when they came. I was doing counseling and I was talking to my friends and I was doing all these things to heal and feel better. And I honestly thought that I was like doing okay, like coping with it. It's fine. Yeah, it sucked. It was a trauma, but I'm over it. And I kind of had this secret that I didn't really even, I guess you could say, like, I didn't even realize that it was completely wrong because it was normal to me. Um, but it wasn't until recently that it's been really starting to be obvious to me that A, this isn't healthy and normal, and B, I need to, and I realized I really have to do something about it, and work at healing this. So, um, this is really hard to talk about. But basically, my whole adult life, like since I've been sexually active, I've very much struggled with it a lot. I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. Even like I've been with my husband now for 10 years, and 10 years later, I still, it's a hard way to describe it, but I just feel like wrong anytime I'm intimate, or like it feels dirty or bad, or like this icky feeling I don't want to have. So for years since I've been sexually active, I've forced myself to be sexually active, basically. And because I didn't want to be that person that can't do that. So basically, I forced myself so that I would like fit in. So I wouldn't be like neglecting my partner. I wouldn't be withholding anything. I wasn't weird. Just, it wasn't fair to my partner if I didn't. Just all these things I run through my head. Like, I feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this. I should be doing this. So I'm going to do this. And this was my deep, dark secret that I didn't tell anyone, including my husband, until just recently. So, for my entire sexual life, I have been forcing myself to be intimate, and it is heartbreaking to do that. It is the worst feeling in the world. I would have to play mind games with myself in order to do it. There were many times where, despite all the mind games, I just, I, I couldn't. I called it like paralysis, basically. It was just like this, I don't want anyone to touch me. I don't want to be touched. I felt like I was always so self-conscious about like what my husband thought, or I mean, a million things running through my head. And there's sometimes that despite how desperately I wanted to pretend, I couldn't. And so luckily I have a very wonderful husband who is very understanding. But I realize that probably I'm not the only one out here who is struggling with this. And I just want you to know that I feel your pain. And especially for those who don't have an understanding partner, sometimes that pain is unbearable. And I felt that, and you're not alone. And there is hope. And that's what I'm writing about, talking about, I should say, today. Because at the end of this very long, heartbreaking journey, I'm finally finding some hope. And it didn't happen until recently. And so that's what I'm here to talk about today. So, like I said, for years and years, I had to play pretend. I had to literally close my eyes and pretend I was somewhere else. Pretend it's a movie. Pretend it's anything. Like, I pretend you're having an orgasm, and I'd work about in my head like, oh, I'm not performing well enough for my husband. Oh, he's gonna know I'm faking. What does he think of this? What does he think of that? Like, my head would go 100 miles an hour the whole time, and just trying to fake this whole scene so I could basically get it over and be done with it. And even though, like, yeah, there's times where, like, your body physically enjoys things, mentally, I was torn into pieces. And it's so hard to be, it's so shame-filled and toxic, honestly. It's just, it's devastating. But it wasn't until recently, I was actually listening to another YouTuber talking about how I don't want to bash how this is pronounced, but I want to say it's Ho'oponopono. It's the Hawaiian saying, and it's about a healing process. And the healing process is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And applying that to literally anywhere in your life. And I just had a recent occurrence where I was having alone time with my husband, and he was trying to get me in the mood, more or less, and I was kind of in that paralyzed phase. He's just kissing me, and I felt like I just paralyzed. And I remember so much so he asked, like, hey, are you okay? Like, do you want me to stop? Because he knows how it goes. Well, I never honestly opened up to him about, like, why I struggled with it. He just knew I didn't often want to do things. But honestly, I never told him why. And so it was probably very frustrating with him. For him, I mean. So I just tell him, like, no, it's fine, And as he proceeds, I just remember, like, all of those things popping up in your head. And I just heard this YouTuber talking about this process, this forgiving process. And so as soon as anything popped up in my head, I did that. I was like, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And I just repeated it again and again and again and again in my head, like, continuously. And I mean, every single thing that came up in my head, this feels wrong. I feel dirty. I feel guilty for feeling this way. I feel guilty. I can't do this for my husband. I feel guilty, whatever. And I kept going on and on and on. And I just kept, doing this process again and again. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you, to everything. And then I realized, like, I started apologizing to myself for not allowing myself to enjoy it, for not allowing myself to have this moment for myself, to feeling like it's bad rather than a good bonding normal thing, So anyway, I went through the whole process again and again and again. And next thing you know, all of it melted away. Like, all of it. My brain quit. And I felt like it was like for the very first time, like I was actually intimate. Like, it was the most amazingly beautiful thing I have ever witnessed in my life. And it was truly bliss. Like, it was truly real and freeing. And afterwards, I was bawling hysterically and starting to cry. And my husband kind of, knows how I can be sometimes. And he just kind of like chuckles, like, and he's like, kind of like, are you okay? Because I'm laughing. I'm like, I don't know why I'm crying. And he's kind of like, are you okay? And I say, yes, it's like a good cry. And I'm like crying. And I'm like, it's a release cry. Like, I just felt all of this stuff just pouring out of me. All of these years and years of just mental abuse and guilt and shame and all of these things just flooding out of me. And I'm just crying and crying. And I'm just honestly blown away. Like, I've been to Hawaii before. I've heard they're saying when they're talking about it in a luau. I never ever considered it. And it's like so much more than words. Like, I felt this true healing inside of me take place. And I know that this is just the very beginning of a very long journey. The only way I can explain it is a hoarder's house. And when you watch that show, Hoarders, on TV. And I feel like if you can explain my emotional pent-up trauma life, or whatever you want to explain it, that we all have, I think of it as like a house on hoarders. So I've been trying to do self-help stuff my entire life. Like, I'm just like every other human in this world. My life has been full of wonderful things. It's been full of horrible things. I've had heartbreaks. I've had traumas. I mean, all of us has. No one has had an easy, perfect life. And everyone has traumas that they're processing. So I look at me, like my home, my journey is like a house on hoarders. And that night, and these, over this process of my life, trying to get through things, it's like I was kind of just, picking here and there, trying to shuffle stuff around. Like, I'm living in this house, like, you can't even like hardly move in anymore. And throughout these years of like trying to do these self-help things, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just kind of shuffling, like, okay, this area is a little cleaner now, but like reality is it's just like tucked into another room. Like, now this door can't even open because this room's so full over here, but like the space in front of me is okay, so like that's how I'd explain most of my self-help stuff I've been doing for these last few years. But it wasn't until recently where I'm finally just like, okay, I'm ready to change. I'm ready for this. I need to change. And I'm starting to take this seriously. And the only way I can explain it is like I finally went and put my exercise clothes on, and I grabbed a shovel, and I'm like starting to shovel this stuff out of here, And then I'm like finally starting to see like the corner of my countertop, and it's like, oh my gosh, I see my countertop. Now, that being said, I know that I still have this entire house full of stuff I need to go through, I need to get rid of. But I got my exercise clothes on, I grabbed my shovel, and I'm ready to do it. And I'm hoping that as I'm going through all of this, I can inspire you, motivate you, help you through, encourage you, whatever this is. I hope it brings you some light, some hope, and just some realness to our lives. I feel like nobody talks about these things. No one wants to admit that they have these really hard struggles, embarrassing struggles, whatever they are. People don't talk about it, but the reality is like everyone has these struggles. Maybe not this specific one, but I know I'm not the only one with this specific one. And if you are a person who has this specific struggle, I just want you to know that you are heard, you are loved, there is hope, and you are never, ever, ever alone. So thank you all for listening to me today, and I hope I can bring some light into a situation or someone's life. Thanks.